Hello, my friends. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. And I've got to hand it to you because you sacrificed a lot of your life and gave your heart to your families and sacrificed your bodies and your minds to take care of your family and do the right things. So I salute you guys. I don't think we get enough credit, but you know, either do women sometimes. They don't get enough credit. So just have a great happy Father's Day. Hope you have something nice planned today. So as I'm preparing here to probably go out to lunch with my family for Father's Day, decided to run into the woods over here by my home and make a video for you today. There's a couple things I wanted to talk about. Some spider webs I'm walking through back here. Well, first of all, the silver and gold markets this week were a little touchy, a little bouncy. They seem to have stabilized a little bit in the last day or so, and we'll see if it, if it could calm down a little bit. It's a little bit volatile. It seems like the big boys are trying to push the price down again. It's under 30, and on silver, that is. And I don't think that they want it to really rise, but we all know this already. We'll have to see what happens and follow it closely. But I've talked about this many times in the past. If you watch it every day, the daily price movements, it'll drive you crazy, because we're really not supposed to be day traders in precious metals markets. We're supposed to be long-term hedgers, basically. And it just depends on what your philosophy is, on what you think's coming down the road. But there's different game plans. So what came up, I had a really good conversation with a couple silver and gold stackers. And I love those kinds of conversations in my store, because they're basically just down-to-earth people who have educated themselves on what they believe and what I believe are the values to stacking precious metals. And sometimes those conversations are really, really cool. Unfortunately, I'd love to get them on camera. I have cameras all over my shop. And most of these guys, they don't want to be on camera for, obvious reasons. So I'm not going to just put them on there. I know there are some channels, different types of shops that, put their customers right on their face and everything without their permission, I believe, other than they have signs posted. And I don't think that's right, because I know if I walked into a shop and I was doing some kind of business or having private conversations with the owner of the business, I really wouldn't want, I wouldn't want to be on camera without my permission, of course, but I wouldn't want it for obvious reasons. But one of the conversations we're talking about, I think I brought this up. I wanted to see these guys, what their opinion was and what their intentions were to stacking silver and gold. And I asked the question, hey man, what is your end game? What are your actual plans? Because in life and in everything there is some kind of end game. We're not going to be here forever. And what are your goals? And got a couple different responses. I'm not sure if a lot of silver and gold stackers actually think about this in detail. There's a lot of things in life that we kind of know the answer to, but we just kind of ignore it in a strange way. I think that has a lot to do with the way we're taught, way we're programmed. So for example, I was looking into some stats and math about current cost of a mortgage and buying a home, which is insane right now. And I don't know how these young people are buying houses are going to be able to afford this, but that's a whole nother subject. But you know, this is knowledge that most of us already know, but we kind of just don't pay attention to it. And that is, like, right now, I used an online like a real estate mortgage calculator, and if you typed in some figures about the mortgage, it'll give you long-term stats on what you're paying, what you're actually paying. So, more bugs flying around. Of course, I'm in the woods. But I put in a $400,000 home at 7.25% interest and over a 30-year mortgage. You end up paying, I don't have it in front of me, but you end up paying like $471,000 worth of interest. And then you got to add the taxes and insurance. So that $400,000 house becomes close to $1 million house after 30 years. So you're paying quite a bit for that home. Plus, not factoring other things that I'm forgetting, of course, which is maintenance and, you know, repairs, upgrades, all that stuff. That all adds up. So at first glance, you're like, you know, that's a lot of money to put into a house if you kept it for 30 years. The bankers get rich. That's how they get rich, obviously, the interest. But after you calculate it, the house would have to more than double in value for you basically to break even on what you put into it over 30 years. And you know, it looks like you made nothing in the house, but you actually did in a way, because you basically lived rent-free, as long as the price of the home went up that much. Most houses will do that. They will go up double, triple over 30 years. I guess depending on the location, things like that. I guess there's many other factors. I'm no expert on real estate. But that's like, you know, you kind of ignore that when you're buying a house. You're not really thinking about it for 30 years. We're thinking about it in more short term. And I think that same way of thinking applies to silver and gold stacking in a way. We just kind of, a lot of new stackers just kind of jumped on the bandwagon, probably for good intentions, not everybody. And you don't really think about an end game. So I know I have a customer for a fact. He's got, I don't know exactly how much silver he has. He has a lot more than I think anybody else I would know. But, you know, private stacker other than some dealers. And I asked him, because he's older, I asked him, what are you doing with this stuff? What is your plans for this? You plan on ever selling it? Is there a price? He said, no, I'm leaving it to my 2 daughters. I'm like, well, that's, you know, that's good. Happy Father's Day. Work your whole life and leave it to your kids. But that's okay. That's the way it should be. Should be taking care of your own children. But, you know, he also told me that they have no idea what he's got. So this guy has no bills. He's not married. He's divorced. And he has 2 pensions, and he works full-time, and he's in his 70s. So he's able to stack a lot of silver, and mostly 90% silver coins. That's what he's been stacking for many, many years. And his end game is to just leave it to his kids. And I asked him a very important question, and I don't think he ever even thought about it. I said, do your kids, do your daughters, do they know what to do with this stuff when the time comes and you pass on to heaven or wherever, you know, to see God? And he said, you know, I never thought about it. So he has possibly, I'm not sure exactly, but possibly millions of dollars worth of silver stash, amongst other things I'm sure he owns. And he never really thought about what they're going to do with it. Never left them instructions. They're not educated on it. And, you know, I think I opened his eyes. Because if that's your plan, is to leave everything to your kids, they better know what to do with it. Because imagine them walking into some shady, seedy coin shop or bullion dealer to talk to them with all this stuff. Maybe they pull up in their van with bags and bags of silver coins, and they take it to the wrong guy. Your kids will get ripped off, because even though most coin shops and most coin dealers that I've dealt with are fairly honest, most of them are pretty honest from what I've seen, there are some out there that the temptation would be too much for them to resist making gigantic profits off of an unsuspecting, you know, children like that would not have any idea. So if you're in a position similar to this, where you're thinking of leaving it all to your kids when the time comes, make sure they have some knowledge of what they're dealing with, and preferably, hopefully you know somebody who's in the business, a coin dealer that you trust, and then leave your kids specific instructions to contact them, and tell the coin dealer the same. Excuse me, a lot of little bugs flying around back here. I would say that's 100% must. You need to set them up so they do not get ripped off, because all that work and all that money you invested, they can lose quite a bit of it if they don't know what to do with it, and if they go to the wrong person. I'm just being honest with you guys. So make sure. But, you know, back to the end game part. Please let me know in the comments. Do you have an end game? Do you have a strategy? And is there a price point that precious metals, your silver and gold, if that's what you're stacking, is there a price point that it would have to get to for you to consider actually selling it and turning it back into fiat money? Most of my guys say they'll never turn it back into fiat. There'll be no purpose. But that's all well and good. But in reality, there could come a point where you have to turn it back into fiat for whatever reason. I've had a few guys mention they wanted me to talk about the implications, or actually the ability to trade or sell off your silver and gold stacks to buy land. I believe that's a difficult question to answer. It's very hypothetical. Silver and gold would have to rise quite a bit, and property values would have to drop. So the markets would have to basically collapse. Real estate market would have to decline rapidly, or not rapidly, but over a long period of time would have to go down quite a bit. And gold and silver would have to go the other way and rise. Unfortunately, historically, if you look back, when we go into recession, silver and gold follow the markets, specifically the stock market. So I think what would happen would be, if the markets were to crash, so would the price of silver and gold. That's the history of, that's what it has done in the past. Now what we're all hoping for is that our silver and gold stacks will protect us against the dollar collapse, not necessarily a stock market collapse or a real estate market collapse. And that's where you get into the speculation part about it. Will this actually happen that way? I do believe the dollar is doomed to decline. There's no doubt in my mind. But is it going to happen today? Or is it going to happen in 50 years from now? That's the big question. I don't think it's happening overnight. I have some silver and gold stackers who, guys I talk to, who think it's happening imminently. And this is gonna change and you know, manipulate your own strategies of what you think that you should do with it. Because like I said many times, don't listen to anybody. You know, do your own research on what's best for your situation. So these things that we're talking about are very speculative. And one of my customers yesterday, when we were talking about the interest on the mortgage, and we talked about interest on vehicles and everything else, and all this money you're paying, you know, he's like, well, you know, we know this stuff now because we've done our own research about this, but how come they never taught this to us in school? And that's a great question. Why didn't they teach you this stuff in school, how to evaluate your money, and how much interest you're paying on things, and on debt, and how bad debt is? They never teach you that. I don't wonder why that is. It's most likely because the bankers and the elite want you to be debt slaves, which is what probably 90% of at least the younger population of this country is. They're debt slaves. So hopefully we can wake up enough people, especially younger people, to being more, you know, responsible, and possibly putting some silver and gold away for instead of running up just debt. I mean, if I only knew then what I know now, type of thing. But you know, how many times do you actually listen when you're young? Did you actually listen to what people told you? Some of you did. Some of you did the right things. A lot of guys, we didn't, and we like to blow our money. Saw an interesting little tidbit article came out about the former president is floating the idea of eliminating the income tax and replacing it with import tariffs. And you know, of course we all would love not to have to pay income tax. That would be just a great thing, right? It's a great idea. I just don't foresee the elite and the big boys and the bankers to ever allow that, ever. So I believe that may go nowhere, even though it's a great idea. I just don't think it's ever going to go anywhere. Interesting to talk about. But I think we'll be paying income taxes forever, rest of our life. And that's fine for now. You know, until they can come out with a better system. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I just thought I'd bring it up because I saw it. I was like, whoa, you know, that's pretty bold idea. But we'll see what happens with that. So, pretty much all I wanted to talk to you about today. I think you need to think of an end game. And I have an actual plan for what to do with your silver and gold. Me right now, I don't plan to sell anything of my own personal stuff anytime soon. I highly doubt it I would ever turn it back into fiat money. I don't see a purpose for it. It would have to be something extreme where I had to get money for an emergency situation or something very unforeseen for me to consider selling my own personal stuff. And then, you know, I don't foresee myself personally the dollar collapsing imminently. So my plan right now is just to hold on to it. And just don't worry about it. Just keep working, hold on to it, keep putting money away. If you're older than me, I think you really need to think about this. I'm in my 50s, but if you're older than me and you have a lot of silver and gold put away, I really believe you need to sit down, go through the math, go through every reasonable situation that could possibly arise from something like this, and figure out an end game, what you plan on doing, depending on what happens. And, you know, guys, let's live in reality here. Don't look at it, don't Don't base your decisions on fantasy or YouTube channels or social media or your buddy down the street that told you some information. Base it on what you could figure out yourself and what you actually know to be a fact. And that's the best advice I could give you. Just don't listen to anybody, even me, because nobody knows nothing about where the future would go. It's all an educated, logical guess. So if you have any comments about what I just spoke about, please leave them in the comments below. Also, please like and subscribe. It's helping me build the channel up, and I appreciate you guys watching. And if you think I'm wrong about anything, that's fine. Leave them in the comments. I'm trying to keep this channel mostly about common sense and reality, even though we talk about hypotheticals. And please have yourself a great Father's Day. And until next video, thanks for watching. Have a great day.